My name is Zhang. I'm the Deputy CEO of the Lazada Thailand. I have been in Thailand for 1.5 years already, and still don't speak very good about Thai, so I have to speak in English. Today's my speech topic is about the global marketplace platforms. I just want to say advance a little bit, like my English is not my native language, so please bear with me on my Chinese accent. So yeah. I think everyone in here probably already know the Lazada, right? When I come into the event in today, actually many people already ask me, hey, Jack, I heard like in this month, in November, there's going to be a very big online sales event in this month. Yeah, I told them, yes, not only in this month, but actually it probably will be the biggest online festival of the year. So I think many guys already know, in the China, or let's say in Alibaba, we have the Double 11 concept. And Double 11 originally is from the Tmall. It's back to the 2008. At that time, Daniel Zhang, our current group and chairman and CEO, was the Tmall CEO at that time. Actually, 2008 was the first years of the Tmall in the market. So at that time, Daniel Zhang was in the office with the Tmall teams. Actually, Tmall was very small at that time, so like only like less than 100 people. And then at that time, Daniel Zhang asked the team, he said, hey, it's already the end of the year, so let's make a shopping festival, right, for the customer, for the consumers by the end of the year. So when are we going to do it? And then Daniel looked at the team. They're all very young people. Majority of them are very single in the office. And then Daniel picked the dates, say, hey, why don't we do it at the Double 11? So 1111, right? So it looks very single. So like we create a shopping festivals for the single people, for the young, single Chinese people at that time. So that's the first time. And then every year, so we start to do the same campaign at the Double 11. So now, actually, Double 11 is become the largest shopping festival, not only in China, but actually globally. Shopping festival at Double 11 actually not only become the online shopping festival, it's become the whole market shopping festival. So Lazada was being acquired by the Alibaba groups back to 2017. And Lazada started to fully launch Double 11 concept also the same year. So in this slides, actually you can see how Lazada evolved in the past a few years. So just a little bit background about Lazada, right? So Lazada was established in 2012 by a few entrepreneurs. And then at the very beginning, so Lazada actually was very heavily focused on the electronic things, mobile phone, tablets, computers, and home applicants. But after 7 years growing, Lazada now is already become a full-blown, full categories covered e-commerce platform. So the topic actually is about the platform, right? So what is the platform? So platform for us, it means we don't really own the inventory. We don't really sell the things by ourselves. But the majority, we enable the seller to do the business on Lazada. So we enable the customer to more easily to find a good assortment on our platform. So we increase the efficiencies or the matching efficiencies between the buyer and the seller. So this is our platform. So along the way in the year, so we create a few MAC campaigns. For example, we have the birthday in the March. We have the mid-year campaigns in the July. We also have the 9/9. We also have the coming Double 11. So Double 11 actually is the biggest online shopping festival the whole year. So we prepare more than 1 million deals for this year, for the next Monday. So actually the price is going to be the lowest of the whole year. So we're doing it by creating the market, to creating the needs. Just a little bit on looking to the Lazada, right? So Lazada, many of you already know Lazada probably the largest e-commerce platform in Thailand and also in the Southeast Asia. So in the past year, actually Lazada achieved more than 50 million annual active buyers. So 50 million buyers. If you look into the whole region, so we have around 600 million to 700 million populations in the whole region. So basically, already around 8% of the whole regional populations is already become the Lazada customers. And our growing year over year, the growth speed is more than 100%. So if you look into our order numbers, actually we're growing around 128% year over year. If you look into our buyers' growth, actually it's also more than 100%. So what this means, it means probably after 3 or 4 years, we're going to have more than 100 million customers or even 200 million customers, do the online shopping on Lazada. So this is a very big number. It's a little bit like format, so sorry for that format issue. But actually, if you look into the 7 years ago, when we entered the Southeast Asia market, the situation is very different. If you look into the Southeast Asia, actually logistic cost is really high. If you look into the logistic cost as the overall Indonesia GDP, actually 24% of the Indonesia GDP is on the logistics. So to solve this issue, so Lazada create their own logistic network, which we call the LAX. We also create our own layout systems, which to allocate the orders, allocate the parcels smartly, smart routings in this market. So this is Lazada built it from the scratch for this market, for the consumer in here. Besides the logistics, if you look into the payment, and actually in the Southeast Asia, around 73% of the population actually do not have the bank account or don't have the credit card. So it's the underbanked populations. So how we do it? Like in China right now, people already don't use much on the credit card. Everyone using the Alipay, everyone using the online payment methods. But when we come into here in this market, it's very different. So to serve the customers, so we develop the cash payment. We also develop the e-wallet. So enable the customer to pay online more convenient. I'm going to talk about more detail later on. And also if you look into the market, so Southeast Asia is one market, but actually also not one market. So we cover 6 countries in this region. Every country is very different. And in this region, in this market, there's more than 64 million SMEs. So what this means? It means it's almost the number of SMEs in this region is the same population as the Thailand. So how we serve those big numbers of SMEs? So we have to use the technology. So how Lazada solve this issue? So basically, we create very sophisticated back-end systems. We enable the small or SME companies, when they come into the Lazada, they can know the customers. They can reach out to the new customers, so they can sell online. And the customer can also find the new brands and the new sellers on Lazada. So we make the matching very efficient. So that's how we can able to sustain or to support this big number of SMEs. I'm also going to talk a little bit more details on our personalized technology in my later slides. So last, besides the infrastructures, payment, and also the SMEs, in this market, and actually there's a lot of different countries and the different languages. Based on our calculation, we found out in this market, there's more than 240 different languages. So let's say in Thailand, we have the Thai. In Singapore, people use the Chinese and the English. In Malaysia, in the Philippines, and in the Indonesia, they all have their own local language. So how we support the local customer needs, make sure the customer input their own language, can also find the right products. Actually, this is very challenging. Basically, it's very similar to Google Translate or to the other translations, right? So we also have our own translations algorithms and the translation systems to match the customer needs. So we have to be localized, we have to be personalized. So to solve those problems, right, on the logistic, we build up our first mile and also our last miles capability. So for the first miles, roughly right now in the Lazada systems, 75% of the parcel actually is picked up or sorted by the Lazada. After we pick up and sorted the parcel, 70% of the parcel actually delivered by the Lazada. And we also work with the third parties and local strong partners to fulfill the last mile delivery needs, especially in the remote regions. For the payment, so like we talked about, 73% of the population in this region actually is underbanked. So we cannot require the customer to change their own behavior. Right? We cannot expect the customer, everyone, to suddenly have a credit card or to have an e-wallet in one night. It's not possible. So we have to enable the cash on delivery. So right now, 91% of the population in this region that don't have the credit card. So around 80% of the customer, 70 to 80% of the customer, when they pay online, they still used to choose the cash payment. So, but however, when they use the cash payment, they build a relationship with the e-commerce platform or with the Lazada. And actually, along the way, we're going to promote the credit card, bank account, and also the e-wallet. So we can enable the customer to make the online transaction much easier. So this is why we're working with a lot of major banks locally, to enable the credit card, bank account, mobile transfers, and e-wallet. And in this market right now, so far, Lazada have in 5 markets to launch the Lazada own wallet. So Lazada wallet pretty much right now it's pretty much the closed loop. So we're only serving the Lazada customers. We're working with the banks, we're working with the third-party payment companies, and to enable the technology. And also the majority of the backbone of the technology of the Lazada wallet actually is also come from the Ant Finance in China. So we talk about the infrastructures, we talk about the logistics, we talk about the payment. So what is the Lazada business model is? So Lazada, some people think, oh, Lazada is one platform. It's true and also not true. So yes, Lazada only has one app. So we only have one single entrance. So when you open the Lazada app, you see everything there. But however, within the Lazada platforms, actually we have very different business. So we have local marketplace, which is target to the SMEs, like I mentioned before. So in the last year, in the 2018, we canceled the commission for the SMEs. So we enable the SMEs come into the Lazada, come into the online platform to do business at 0% of the cost. Now we only charge the payment cost to the sellers, which directly 100%, we get from the bank. So we don't charge any margins on it. We just directly, charge what we get charged to the SMEs. So basically, for the online business, there's no additional cost for the SMEs. So far, like we talk about, we have more than 100% of the growth in terms of the orders, in terms of our sales. In the later stage, in the later slides, you can also see the numbers. Actually, we already have a huge number of seller base. Only in Thailand, we already have more than 100,000 sellers in this market. So consider this one. It's already the 100,000 sellers in this market. It's probably the biggest for all the bazaar in the Thailand together. This can be like this number. So besides the local marketplace, mainly for the SMEs, we also have the last mile. So dedicate for the brands. Consumer, they have the different needs. Sometimes they want to buy some cheap things. They want to buy non-branded things. But in many cases, they also want to buy a very branded product. For example, Nike shoes, right? For example, some FMCG products. So customers also looking for that kind of products. So we launched the Laz Mall to mainly or dedicated for the brands. So brands come into the Lazada, so we give them the dedicated space and the dedicated traffic. Lazada actually also have the retail. So this is why I said Lazada is a majority of the marketplace. So retail means we buy and we sell, right? Why we do that is because in many cases, so customer want the most advanced product or the most new models in this market. For example, iPhone 11, right? Lazada is the exclusive partners of the Apple in Thailand market for the online platforms, within the online platforms. So we can have the iPhone 11 or the iPhone new models is the first time. So we can enable the Lazada customers to make the purchase in the day one. So besides we talk about all those local business, actually Lazada also have a very distinguished business, which we call the cross-border. So cross-border is mainly for the long tail assortments. So we know like a customer is very demanding, right? Especially like we have a lot of young girls, female customers. They really want to see something new. They really want to buy something not easily to find from the local market. Then what's the best solution for it? So we enable no matter is the sellers from the China, Korean, Japan, or even from the US, they can also selling on Lazada platform to Southeast Asia customers. So there's a very, very interesting examples in the past few months. There's one distinguished guest purchased like more than 1,000 pieces of a very niche US brands on Lazada. And they can only find from the Lazada because that brands even not enter into the Southeast Asia. But due to our cross-border platforms, we have that brands actually in Tmall Global and also in the Lazada Global. So this is the technology power and also the marketplace power. So if you look into the Lazada current category mix, so around 17% of our order volume is from the consumer electronics, mobile phones, home applicants, small kitchens, kitchenwares, all those electronic things. Around 30%, 29% of our sales come from the fashions. Fashion is a very broad concept, right? So you have the apparels, you have the shoes, bags, watch, jewelry, a lot of things, which is our female customers' favorite. We also have around 28 from the FMCG, which mainly for those branded products or household products. And then the last is the general merchandise. So when we look into the growth, right? So we talk about a little bit about the number of the people, the customers, the orders, right? So if you look into our seller stores, basically the number of sellers on Lazada, year over year, the growth rate even slightly higher than number of orders. So we have around 132% of the sellers growth compared to the last years. And within the this large seller pools, I mean, you may have the question to think, oh, is this a seller? Actually, most of them are very, very small. They cannot make the money, or the competition is so fierce. Yes, competition is fierce, but still, the sellers growing very quickly. If you use, let's say, a threshold, let's say $10,000 sales per month as a scalable definition, our sellers, the scalable sellers growth rate is around 97%. So it's very high number growing. So a lot of sellers, they growing to more than $10,000 sales a month. So if they pay attention to their store, if they really committed to it, a lot of them actually can grow into really a big or the scale sellers. So we look into the market, right? So we talk about is the fundamental, logistic, payment, sellers. So how Lazada going to evolve in the futures? So there's three pillars here. So number one is the localization. Two is a personalized. Three is a new innovation initiatives. Let me talk about one by one. So what does localization mean? So you see two pictures here. So the most left picture is our Lazada homepage. So the second picture actually is our live streamings. So localization, number one, we want to be a local company. Someone saying, hey, Lazada is Alibaba ecosystems, or Lazada is Alibaba's. But actually it's not. Lazada is belong to the Thailand in here. Lazada in the Philippines also belong to the Philippine market. So in every country, we have a huge, well, that's a very big local teams. So our local team's job, so basically me and my teams in here, our job is to find who is our local sellers, what assortment they sell, and who is our local customers, what's their needs, and then how we match them together. So we have a lot of like a mechanism on Lazada platform. For example, you see the module here is the flash sales. Every day, we very carefully choose around 300 or 400 items. And then we negotiate with the sellers to really to a very good price, to a very low price. And then we put on there and then show to the customer. So if you're a customer, you want to look into, hey, what's new in this market? Hey, what's new on Lazada? You can simply go into it and to see what's the deals there. It's very like exploring experience. It's not a hard push, but it's more like enable the customer to explore the high or the very good deals. And then besides the normal sales, right, the people are saying, hey, Lazada is only the e-commerce platforms. But actually it's not anymore. Since the October last year, Lazada Thailand, as the first country in the Southeast Asia, launched the live streaming business. So why we do the live streaming? People may think, hey, live streaming is not like e-commerce, right? E-commerce is like you have a platform, you're selling. But live streaming is more for fun, right? But why e-commerce platform do a live streaming business? Actually, we also got the question from the team in the beginning. Why? Because in the end, what we believe as a marketplace, our job is not to sell. Our job is to serve the customer and to make the matching efficiency higher and higher. So live streaming for us is a very good way to engage the customer. So customer want to spend some time at the night, or let's say during the break of the work. They want to look into some interesting. People want to talk to the people. People want to watch the people, what they're doing. So this is what we launched, the original purpose we launched the live streaming business. So we want to be, actually in the end, as like not an e-commerce selling company. We want to be the partners of our consumer in their daily life. So this is what we call the shoppertainment concept. So people come to the Lazada, don't feel they have to buy something. It's more like to exploring. It's more like to find something new or something interesting. So let me share one data with you. So in, actually, I think the day before yesterday, we launched a session in the live streaming called Guess It. So basically, it's like it's a game, right? So people come to the Lazada platform to look into the live streaming, and then to guess the price of an item, which we pick up, right? And then if who really gets the right price, who will get the award. So just take a guess. How many people watch that 30 minutes live streaming? Only in Thailand. 200,000 people look at live streaming in 30 minutes. 200,000 very distinct, different people. So it's a huge populations. If you look into the shoppertainment, if you look into live streaming in the Tmall or in the Taobao, and actually we see very common, more than 1 million people watching one live streaming sessions. Sometimes, if you have a big KOLs came, or let's say some very interesting mechanisms, even can be 5 millions or even 10 millions. So this, we believe, going to be our future directions. So we want to be the partners of the people. We want to be more localized, develop the local content. Second pillar is about the personalization. So I briefly mentioned in the first slides, so we have so many assortment, we have so many sellers. So how we match those things together? This is the technology, it's a personalized. In Lazada, internally, we call this technology as 1,000 people, 1,000 Lazada, or 1,000 people, 1,000 face. What does this mean? It means, let's say, if both my wife and I open the Lazada app, two of us will see very different Lazada. On my Lazada app, I will see pretty much cell phones, technology, consumer electronic things. I will see some like a man's shoes, right? This is the things normally I will purchase and I will browsing on Lazada. My wife will be very different. My wife will see mainly bags, clothes, some jewelry things. This is what like a lady normally they're browsing. But if let's say my daughter, she doesn't have Lazada app, but if she has it, probably to her is more like the different, like the toys, or let's say for the mothers, right? So when they look into the Lazada app, they more look into the toys, or let's say the diapers, or the milk formulas, or the milks. So for them, it will be the content that's really, really like. So we use the technology to enable different people see different content and make sure the matching efficiency between the sellers and the buyers going to be really maximized. The last thing we do is we call the innovation. So Lazada as an e-commerce company, as a digital company, we have a belief internally is changes is the only constant. Actually, this is one of our corporate value. So we believe in this market, especially the consumers, their behavior, their preference changing very fast. So we have to follow very closely, or sometimes we have to leading the change in many cases. So that's why internally we have a lot of new initiatives. Some of them may not be that great, but some of them actually really make it big. So for example, as an e-commerce platform, I believe some of you even don't know Lazada already have the last game. So we also have our online games in Lazada app. So when people come to the Lazada, for example, they buy something or they don't want to buy something, but they want to just play some like get something to do or enjoy their breaks, they can come to Lazada to play a small game. After they play a small games, they can get a voucher, free. Can be from the platform or can be from a seller or from a brand. So when customer do something fun, they can also get something. So it's very interesting, both for the platform and also for the customers. So this is kind of just one example of the innovative things we bring to this market. So clearly it's not the end of the game. So Lazada still have a long way to go. We keep changing, we keep changing. So we fundamentally, or in the end, our goal as a marketplace is to enable the sellers, is to enable the buyers, and we enable them to match in a very high efficient way. So this is our mission and also our goals.